Hi, everybody, and greetings from Clasheen in rural Ireland. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, where I'm going to just do a very brief recap of the training yesterday, and I'm going to share some very exciting news and let you know all about the Dirty Pot Club. So I'm hoping that you'll celebrate with me while I launch it this evening, and maybe some of you will consider joining me, but there's no pressure whatsoever. So for those of you who don't know me very well, my name is Nicola. I live in rural Ireland in an old farmhouse that I renovated, and I'm passionate about growing my own trees and plants to use in the textile studio. I'm joined tonight by my right-hand woman, Shauna, and Shauna is currently in Australia. So we just have her image here, but she's going to be handling and collating comments and questions in the background. So if you have a question for me during the live stream, please just make sure to write 3 question marks in front and 3 question marks behind so that Shauna can find it. And you can do this by leaving a comment. And because we may be in different time zones, we have gathered a few of the questions that were asked following the Dirty Pot training yesterday. So I'm just going to do a very, very brief recap and answer questions. Then I'll move on. So the Dirty Pot eco printing process. It's where you use the power of your printing pot to help make your prints more lasting, more colorful, and more washable. And you don't need that many, you don't need that much equipment to do the Dirty Pot process. It's very, very simple compared to working with mordants. We don't need to weigh and measure any chemicals to help fix the color on fabric. We actually use the pot and what we put in it to do that work for us. And here you can see a selection of my tools for argument's sake. And these are some pipes, some vinegar. I've got some string to tie my bundles. I've got scissors, etc., etc. And those are the tools of my trade. I love using an aluminium pot. That would be my favorite eco printing pot, particularly for beginners, because you're guaranteed to get good results with the correct preparation of your fabric, the correct pot, vegetation, and the correct way of processing everything. So as a beginner, it's the best thing is to start with a protein-based fabric such as wool or silk. Cashmere, mohair, they also are considered protein-based fabrics, and they will give you the best results as a new eco printer. And you don't have to buy a lot of expensive equipment, but I do urge you to try and find an aluminium pot and try and make sure that whatever pot you use, you can bring that pot liquid up to a boil and keep it there for a couple of hours. Now, I know there is a question about using a slow cooker, so I will answer that question shortly. But in relation to the fabric, you need to wash your fabric beforehand with a gentle soap. And then you are going to soak it in plain water overnight and give it a squeeze so it's not very wet before you lay your vegetation. And then I recommend that as a new eco printer, you start by using onion skins. And if you are an experienced eco printer, but you have only worked with mordants before, I also recommend you start with onion skins. They're easy to access. You can usually get them, get onions in your supermarket or your grocery store, and you can just save those brown outer pieces of them, or possibly you grow them yourself. But it's important at the beginning, I feel, to have success at the beginning. And if you use vegetation that you know is going to give color, well, then you can practice your technique and tying your bundles, and you can try different types of fabric. And then you will be able to print confidently before you move on to more leaves. And then once you have your fabric damp and you're about to print it, I recommend with protein-based fabric that you give it a sprinkle of vinegar before you put your vegetation on it. Then in this case, I folded that piece of fabric in half and I added more leaves on the top and I rolled it up on a copper pipe. And it's really important to roll your bundles very tightly. We're looking for a direct contact print. And then when you tie them, you also need to tie them very tightly as well. And the dirty pot itself, that's your aluminium pot. I like to put water, vinegar, a chunk of rusty metal in the pot, bring it to a boil, and then I sometimes add onion skins or eucalyptus leaves into the pot as well. But I never, ever add any other leaves or vegetation. I have tried and I have not liked the results. So again, if you're new to the process, I highly recommend not veering away and throwing in anything you like from your garden, because you may discover that you get just very, very dark fabric with no obvious prints at all. And then I'm going to share a few slides here of some upcycled clothing that I had printed and give you an indication of how long the pieces might need in the pot. So this here was a pale pink cashmere sweater, and this is printed with onion skins, and this had about 2 hours and 20 minutes processing. So you process the bundles for the length of time the actual the vegetation needs, rather than the length of time that you think your fabric might need. This next image, this is actually an image of me up my local mountain. I just went up with a friend and we took some photos. He's a professional photographer. So I'm sitting on a piece of handmade felt, and that was eco-printed with leaves from my garden. The bag beside me, actually, I printed the fabric first and then I made the bag. That's my weekend bag, again printed with leaves from my garden. The arm warmers that I'm wearing, they used to be the sleeves of a jumper or a sweater. They're wool and they're printed with onion skins. And the piece around my neck, that was actually the body of a jumper, of a sweater, a wool sweater. And the sweater was from a thrift store. It had a little damage. And so I made it into a cowl. So I'm passionate about being as sustainable as possible in the studio with the materials that I use and also the vegetation. This is just another image of a different image with the cowl and with the arm warmers, more onion skins. All of these pieces took 2.5 hours in the pot. This particular one here, this is a very good leaf. I'm going to actually write this myself as a comment. And so I'm not sure what part of the world you're in. If you want to just let us know where you're tuning in from. But this is a particular type of dogwood. So it's called Cornus alba siberica. And this is a really good eco-printing leaf. Some of the darker lines on that one there, this image, they're actually just because it's where the tie marks were. But this Cornus alba siberica gives excellent prints on protein-based fabric and also on cellulose-based fabric. And we discussed yesterday during the training that if you're going to print cellulose fabric, the easiest way to do this is by using homemade rust water. And there is a little video tutorial on YouTube on my channel if you're interested in making your own. But In essence, it's either water in a rusty metal pot and leave it for a little while. That's what I've done here. Or you can boil up water, vinegar, and rusty metal for an hour and create your own rust water. It doesn't look the same as this, but it works very well. And then your pieces get a dip. They get a 40-second dip in this rust water after you've washed and prepared them. And then you squeeze out the excess and you lay your leaves on top. And here is a linen top from an op shop, a thrift store, and that was upcycled and printed using blackberry leaves. And I see that Mac has joined us from Virginia in America, and Mac has been watching the videos for about a year and trying out the dirty pot. Favorite foliage is blackberry. And Mac, I have a tip for you that I discovered several years ago. If you can happen to dig up some blackberry roots, or if you pull out a young shoot, those roots, those long sort of tendrils, that come out at the bottom, the root that will be in the ground, I got wonderful purple prints from them, and they looked so graphic. So that is a question or a tip for you. Try the roots of blackberry leaves. Absolutely fantastic. Then these are smoke bush leaves. And this particular one is Cotinus cogreria. And the actual variety of my Cotinus, it's called Grace. And it gives me very reliable prints on wool and silk. I particularly like the prints on cellulose fabric. And then that particular fabric, I cut it up and I combined it with plain fabric. This is organic HEMP, and I'm not saying that word or I might get flagged for inappropriate language on YouTube, but it's from a supplier in England and I really love it. It's very soft to wear, it's beautifully warm, and I made that top using that fabric. Then here are a pair of old linen trousers. I think I found them in a thrift store, and if I remember correctly, I paid €5 for them. And so then I used blackberry leaves, and then those more graphic lines and marks on this particular pair of trousers, they're made from the rose bay willow herb seed pods. And if you look where I'm standing in this image, behind me, you can see these tall flowers with pink at the top of them. And you might know this plant as fireweed. So this fireweed, the seed pods give wonderful prints, and sometimes the leaves print as well. They have printed for me in the dirty pot for the last number of years, but actually they didn't when I started. So it's quite strange. And here is my buddy Paul, who teaches in our National Botanic Gardens. He teaches horticulture. And he came to me and we printed together. And he wanted to print this T-shirt that he just brought with him. And these are actually blackberry leaves. And Mac, thanks. Yeah. So just to repeat what I said to Mac, I've got excellent prints from the root of the blackberry plant as well. Just 1 minute now while I see the next one. Yeah, these are rose bay willow herb leaves on a linen top. So after you have done your eco printing, you then need to just wash out your garments or your fabric, and you need to neutralize it if you have rolled it up on a rusty metal pipe. Now, for those of you who missed the training yesterday, I highly encourage you to go back to the free training, because that's not what tonight is about. Tonight is all about just answering a few follow-on questions, but launching I'm so excited about this, my new venture. I really, really want to reach more people at an affordable price, and I'm launching what is called the Dirty Pot Club. It's a membership. And I'm going to move on to that in just a couple of minutes, but Sean has highlighted a few comments for me, a few comments or questions that she's starred. And I'm going to just answer them really quickly and then move on. And I see a great question from Lynn's just here in the comments about, how long you're tied in for the membership. I'll answer all of that in a minute. And I'm also going to give you a little video tour of the club so you can see what it entails. So Loretta has asked here, is it possible to dye in a slow cooker, as this is a cheaper way to cook? So I have to say, Loretta, that some of my online students have used a slow cooker. It's not something that I personally recommend because, I don't use it because I like to bring my pot to a boil and then I want to keep it at a boil for the best results. But some people who have studied with me have used a slow cooker very successfully, but you would need to have it on for a much longer length of time. However, it is possible to dye in the microwave very successfully. And that is something that I will be, it's not currently in the Dirty Pot Club, but it is something I will discuss during one of the coaching calls with members of the Dirty Pot Club, because that can be extremely efficient and you use very, very little electricity. You don't need the microwave on for very long and you can get some wonderful results dyeing and printing in a microwave. So that is something, Loretta, that will be, coming up as coaching and training in the club using the microwave. And also members of my current ecoprint and wet felt club are also in the Dirty Pot Club. So some of them will have used a slow cooker and they might have more information for you. So the next question that I'm going to bring up is this one here. Will lily and bamboo color well? And I have tried bamboo. I've not personally tried lilies, but bamboo did not give me any good color in the Dirty Pot. It does give good color when you are working with tannin and iron reactions. It can give good color, but not when you are processing in the Dirty Pot. Then a question, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, so apologies if not. Sadie, how long do leaves give the fabric the red and orange, or how do leaves give the fabric the red and orange color? Well, it's very interesting because the plants don't necessarily appear to give the dye that you might imagine. So the strongest reds come from some of the varieties of eucalyptus. And if we just look at, let me bring this picture up again, or maybe this one. I don't have any images that really show how red you can get, but on my neck piece there, you can see that there is some red, and it's just due to the vegetation that I have used. And those particular leaves are called Eucalyptus cordata, and they give wonderful prints. I had a lot of rusty metal in that pot, so they're more of a burgundy red. But if I had less rusty metal and more vinegar, they would be redder. And you can play around and get fantastic results with that. Gail has an interesting question here. And I think I seem to have deleted it somehow. Gail's question was, could you use coffee grounds to sprinkle on your fabric rather than black tea? I haven't found coffee grounds successful, Gail. They just wash out. There's a lot of tannin in black tea and I find it very good. But if you put, thank you, Shauna. Shauna has popped this up. If you think about, let's say, boiling vegetables or boiling something, the longer you boil it, often the color washes out. So that tends to happen with certain vegetation when you're printing. So you need limited vegetation for the Dirty Pot if you're not using traditional powdered mordants to fix the color. But black tea works very well and it has a really good affinity. The tannin in the tea has an affinity with iron and rusty metal. So I always have the rusty metal in the pot and I find the sprinkling of black tea works really well. I have tried coffee. I've tried different herbal teas and I've tried rooibos tea. None of them gave good results, but black tea, China tea, Lapsang Souchong, breakfast tea, they all give really nice prints. So Mama has a question. Can I add pieces of copper wire to my Dirty Pot? And my answer is it's not going to be detrimental to your fabric, but you will get absolutely no effect whatsoever from adding copper wire to your pot. You won't get any effect if you add copper pipes to your pot. So there's just no point in doing it. Copper is a slow reacting metal, and as a metal salt, it will react quicker than as a chunk of metal. But there's no point adding it because you're not going to get any good effect. However, where you can add copper wire, if it does not have a clear coating on it, because sometimes jewelry wire, for example, would have a clear coating of something. You may not notice it, but it's got like a lacquer on it. So if the wire has got no lacquer or any coating on it and it's flexible, you can include that in your bundle. You can lay that out with your leaves or vegetation, onion skins, and you can make a design with the copper, roll it all up together, and you may, if you're lucky, get some very interesting prints from the copper as well as from the vegetation. And I have done that and it has worked very well. Here's an excellent question from Maya, and I will go back to the question that popped up there for a second. So Maya is asking, when printing woolen cashmere, will it not shrink in the boiling process in the pot? And this is something that I get asked an awful lot. So if you put your wool or cashmere in a boiling pot of liquid and it's just moving around, it's not tied up as a bundle, yes, it will shrink. But when you roll your bundles, and in the Dirty Pot Club library, there are so many step-by-step videos where you see me working. And when you roll your bundles up tightly, and when you tie your bundles tightly, they almost feel like stone, and they're really tough, like wood or stone. So really, really, really tight, the bundles. And then when they go in the pot, you're not agitating them. They're not moving around as the pot liquid boils. And no, they do not shrink at all. And just to be on the safe side, I would always say, give your pieces that good wash before when you're preparing them, before they go in the pot. And just if you're printing fabric that you're going to use for a garment afterwards, for example, or maybe a bag, print slightly more than you think you need. So you've got a little margin of error. But honestly, I have had very, very few pieces fade at all or shrink at all over the years. Less than 10, I would say, in 10 years. And I'm being truthful. I'm very straight. In Europe, we're very direct. I really don't get pieces that to shrink. Okay, so we have a couple of questions, the same sort of questions. So Karen is saying, can you produce clear prints on a pale background using the Dirty Pot methods? And then Jazz and Cheetah is asking, is it possible to get light, cleaner backgrounds and crisp prints? And the answer is yes, it is possible, but it really depends on the fabric, the vegetation, and what's in your pot liquid. So I love dark and moody backgrounds, and that's why I personally tend to have a lot of eucalyptus vegetation and iron in my pot. But if I wanted a much clearer background, I can't share the images now because they're not queued up here on this live stream. But I have plenty of pieces that have a very pale background and they have strong, crisp, clear prints. It is not as easy unless you steam the bundles, but definitely you can. And just a tip for you is to roll your bundle up and then wrap it maybe in a bandage or a piece of fabric and then submerge it in the pot. Because if it's not submerged in the pot, you don't have as much, without mordants, you don't have the same strength of print. So you do need it to be in that rust water in general, or the rusty and dirty colored pot liquid to get the best effect. And I'm just looking, Trish's question has been answered. So Trish, they don't shrink because they're tied really, really, really tightly. Lynn's, I'm going to answer yours in a minute. And then there is one two more questions. So a question came in, I can't remember, was it on YouTube or was it on Facebook, but what sort of water to use in the washing machine? So would that be cold water or hot water? And this is in response to when I said yesterday, I like to batch wash my garments to prepare them for printing, and I like to batch wash them afterwards. I'm trying to be more environmentally mindful, and I use less water if I use my very environmentally friendly washing machine. In fact, I have a bit of a problem. It's not taking enough water in at the moment because some grit has got into the system and I have to fill it up with a watering can. But that's another story. So if I'm washing wool or silk or cashmere, mohair, I use the wool cycle in the washing machine. It's not cold. It would be 20 or 30 degrees Celsius, and that's what I use. But if I'm going to print on linen or cotton or HEMP, I would use hot water. So what I like to do is use the water that I'm going to be using to maintain those pieces, to wash them again afterwards. Or if you're somebody who's making work for sale, you don't want to wash everything in cold water and then your customers go off and wash it in really hot water. You want to treat the fabric as you think they're going to treat it afterwards. So, oh, here's a nice comment from Louise. Thank you so much. Louise is just saying, I love the clarity and generosity of your sharing. Can't wait to get started. So Louise is obviously up in the north and wondering about any chance of a workshop. So currently, Louise, I'm really teaching online, not face-to-face, because my mother, I need to help care for her part-time and for another family member. However, I'm always open to a private workshop, if you wanted to pop down, and there's wonderful accommodation in the area. It's obviously more expensive to do a one-on-one workshop with me, but we would get through an awful lot of stuff. And Mac has one more question, and then I'm going to move on to just launching the club and sharing some of it with you, the price, and then letting you know, can you unsubscribe at any time if you join, etc., etc. So Mac is asking, do I ever rip the seams on upcycled garments so that I can arrange the leaves on all sides? Or do you use a different strategy to print on several sides at once? Well, in the Dirty Pot Club, Mac, there are loads of videos about me working with garments, and you can see what I do. My preference is always to keep things as simple as possible. I find if I make it too complicated, I'm never really happy with the results. And I print the garments as they are. And I actually like printing and considering the vegetation that I use and deciding whether I want that to go through the garment. For example, if I was printing this top, I would be able to print this with something like cotinus leaves because they give a very strong purple black print. So if I put the cotinus leaves on this front side and I had no barrier, no paper barrier in the middle, some of the color from the front would go through to the back. Or I could turn the garment inside out and put the leaves in the middle. Or there are all different ways you can do it by using barriers. It's much more complicated. So for me, I just like printing them as they are without any barriers. And if I lay leaves here and I roll the garment up, those leaves will touch the back as well, and they will also print on the back. So that is something that in the club, there are lots of videos. I mean, loads and loads and loads of step-by-step videos. So really my question to you is, how would you feel if you could master eco-printing in the shortest time possible while being environmentally mindful and health conscious? If you're looking for guidance, this club, this is what I've been working on for the last number of months, and I am just so excited. The idea is to give you guidance and to help you refine your skills and reach your goals in the shortest time possible. And what I'm going to share with you now, hopefully, will help you identify whether this membership club, whether the program aligns with your ambitions. You know, if you're somebody who likes getting from A to B to Z quickly, it can sometimes, you know, sometimes we have to invest in ourselves and invest in our creative process to learn new techniques. And I always study with other people online or in person so that I can improve what I do. So you might choose to join me, but if you're asking what is the Dirty Pot Club, this is what I'm going to just go through now, and I'm going to just explain to you. So it's more than a learning opportunity, basically. It's a celebration of commitment to learning to mastering the Dirty Pot process with my help, and also in a community with other people. As I've mentioned, members of the ecoprint and wet felt club are also in the Dirty Pot Club. And what I did earlier was I recorded a little video so you could actually see into the library of the club. But if you're wondering what a membership is, the easiest way to describe it is if you think of something like Netflix, you pay either an annual or a monthly subscription. And while you are a current paid up member, you have access to a wealth, to this huge library of videos. Now, I don't even have a television, but I have used Netflix when I have been staying with a friend, and it was brilliant. I kept watching that American program Chopped in the evening, that cooking program, and I love watching old episodes of Frasier. But you pay a subscription and you have access to content. And that's exactly what you have when you join the Dirty Pot Club. So the content that you have is you have this huge library of content, which I will give you a little tour around in a minute. And let me just go to this next slide. So if you join the club, this would be the first page. This would be your dashboard. And as you can see here on the left-hand side, there's like a menu, and then you can see a Facebook logo. If you click that, you can join our private club. I've just circled these areas here. So the categories, you can click on either that categories button or any of the buttons on the left-hand side, and a whole load more options pop up. And so what I thought would actually be the easiest thing to do was to share it's only a couple of minutes long, just a short look at the library. This video looks a little blurry on my screen, but it will give you an indication of what's in the library. And then I'll let you know all the other things that are involved in the club, how much it costs, and about the money back guarantee, and the fact that you can stop anytime. So here goes with the video, and I hope you can hear this properly. Current member of the Dirty Pot Club, you will have access to a wonderful library of helpful content. And this is what the library looks like when you log in. On the welcome page, there's just a tiny little note from me. There's a button on the right-hand side so that you can ask to join our private Facebook group. And then the categories on the left-hand side are an index. You can also view them here. I'll just click there on that categories button. And you will see that up they pop, the same titles as in the index on the left. Now, each of these sections contains a wealth of information. For example, if I click on the left into the section that says the foundations of eco-printing in the Dirty Pot, this is the bedrock of the whole learning process, or the whole learning that you will gain. If you have the foundations right, everything else becomes amazingly easier. So as I scroll down, either here or on the left-hand side, you will see the different titles: Managing Expectations, Note About Powdered Mordants, Preparing Your Fabric, etc., etc. And all these contain little videos. Let's just look at this section here, for example. So this is just showing you how to work with shorter pipes and tips for using onion skins. And then the video is 7 minutes and 16 seconds. I'm not going to play that. But everywhere you look, if we go into the next section, adjusting pot liquid, large pieces, achieving different effects. I give all sorts of tips for folding, rolling, tying bundles. I explain how to reuse and adjust the color of your pot liquid. There are videos showing you how to achieve different effects, how to bundle large pieces, etc., etc. There's a section about cellulose fabric. You can see how to work with garments with sleeves, overprinting, eco-printing clothing, another whole section. So I think you'll agree that there is plenty of content here in the club. This is just a really, really short look. I've tried to design it to be as simple as possible. The Facebook group is where we can all interact, members with each other, members with me, upload photographs of work for feedback, ask questions, make friends. And there are regular monthly coaching sessions with me via Zoom, monthly Q&A sessions via Zoom, challenges which will be added to the club, and then there will be a quarterly hands-on workshop where we all work together. Those have proved very popular over the last year with my ecoprint and wet felt club members, and they will all be joining the Dirty Pot Club too. So we're going to have great fun all working together. So I hope you enjoyed this short little tour, and I look forward to answering any questions, but even more so, I look forward to welcoming you to the club. So apologies if the text looked a little bit blurry on your screen, but I hope that gives you an idea about the depth of information there is in the club. It's filled with all these step-by-step videos of me working, and also text and documents to download, information about vegetation from all different regions of the world that has proved successful in the Dirty Pot. And I just want to go through this here very briefly, and then I will just tell you exactly how much it costs, and I am going to answer any of your questions. So this is just, I've taken a few screenshots from my sales page here just to share with you. So really what I want to do is, I'm passionate about helping people avoid overwhelm. I want people to get going and have success. So I want you to achieve beautiful eco prints. I want to share how to be health conscious, environmentally mindful, be able to become the textile artist that you know you can be, even if you are a total beginner, because this is suitable for people who have experience, but it's really suitable for people who don't, because you will learn how to eco print right from the beginning and you will get excellent results. I can guarantee you will. If you follow what I recommend, I promise you will get good results. And I'm all about keeping things simple. So what I really want is to have a simple approach, but for you to get fantastic results. And I want to give you tips and advice and tuition and guidance, things that you can apply instantly so that you can see an immediate reaction and result. And what I haven't shown you there now, and I don't have an image of it to share, but there's a really clear and concise roadmap in the introductory section of the club. And it's basically got 5 stages. And you can identify by looking at this and downloading it as a member, you can identify which stage you're currently at. And then you can see what the next stage is. And then there are milestones to reach, and then there are activities to do and sections of the club to work through before you move on to the next stage. Now you have access to absolutely everything right from the beginning. And I know, as always, some people will just jump ahead. But honestly, if you start and you really just concentrate on the very foundations, you will actually progress quicker in the long time, in the long term. You will actually become more creative and more adventurous quicker because you will have a good foundation. And then we have a really vibrant community. So as well as the library, which is accessible to you all the time. The videos and everything are accessible all the time for you. I see a question coming in about, the access, and I will answer your questions about the club properly at the end. But there's going to be a monthly Zoom coaching call where I will coach, have a topic every month, and that will be a monthly Zoom call. It will be uploaded to the library afterwards. So if you can't join me live, you will have access to that coaching call afterwards. There will be a monthly Zoom Q&A session, and these are only for club members. So these will definitely help you develop your practice. And this is where you can physically show me pieces you are working on. I can give you feedback, I'll answer your questions, and you can interact with the other members. We will have quarterly hands-on sessions when we create together. These have proved really popular with the current ecoprint and wet felt club. And what we do is we have a topic, I provide information and maybe some videos in the library. That would be new information and videos. We have a topic and we might have a challenge, and then we have a date when we all come together. We have 3 Zoom calls on that day, and we all work in our own studios or kitchens, and we share what we're making, and we upload images to Facebook afterwards. And they have been really, really good fun. And the fun challenges can run separate to those hands-on sessions, so they should be really good, and a private Facebook group. So now, the biggie, how much does it cost to join the club? Well, there are 2 payment options. So the club either costs $49 a month, or there's an annual subscription. So for the 49 euros or dollars, apologies, these are US dollars. So $49 a month gives you access to that comprehensive library of content. There are loads of step-by-step video tutorials, all sorts of resources, all sorts of information. I mean, look, I've given you a brief tour of the library. You've got your eco-printing roadmap, and that is the best way of avoiding overwhelm. You've got a Zoom coaching call with me every month. You've got the Zoom Q&A session, the private Facebook group, the quarterly hands-on sessions, and the fun challenges to spark your creativity. So that is $49 per month. Or I should say with the $49 per month, you can stop your subscription at any stage. You just need to stop it before your next payment is due. So you could join for 1 month, and then you could cancel your subscription just before it's due, like you would with Netflix or any of those online streaming services. You can cancel at any stage, and then you just would lose the library of content the next time your subscription is due. If you knew that you wanted to work with me for a year or several years, the annual subscription would be the best option, because with this, it's $490 US a year with all those Zoom calls, everything that you get in the monthly club, but you would actually qualify for 2 months free. So this is a saving of 98 euros. No. Oh God, my brain. This is a saving of, my brain. I'm too tired, actually. It's 180 euros, I think. It's not my brain, 98 euros. $98. I'm sorry. We know this is live now because I'm being an idiot. You save $98. Oh, I'm being crazy. $98 if you join for the annual subscription. You qualify for 2 months free. And so what I'm going to do is just go to the next slide now before I make a total idiot of myself. And is there a guarantee? Yes, there is an unconditional 14-day money-back guarantee. I am very, very confident with what I am offering. This is way less expensive than any program I have ever offered. For example, there is a lot more content in this than any individual online course I've ever offered, but you're getting it for a fraction of the price. However, I'm happy to offer an unconditional 14-day money-back guarantee. And what this means is if you join the club as either an annual or a monthly member, and within the first 14 days of you paying your subscription, if you are not happy with what you are receiving for any reason, I'll trigger a refund. You need to let me know and I will refund you your money straight away. And I won't even ask you any questions. I don't need to know if you've been through the library, because sometimes we sign up for things and then we just decide they're not for us. So there is a full money back guarantee for anybody who joins. Now, I would like to just maybe go back to, I'm just going back to this slide here. So with the monthly subscription, after that 2-week money back guarantee option, from then on, your monthly subscription will come out of your account. So when you register, you pay either with your credit card or with PayPal, and the monthly subscription is set up by PayPal or by the credit card processor. I don't have access to that. You pay the monthly subscription until such time as you decide not to stay a member. This membership is only going to be open for new people until a minute before midnight Pacific time this coming Sunday. So it's a closed membership. You can't just join every month and dip in and out. You can join, become a member, and then you can leave, but you can't just jump back in again if you suddenly decided the next month you wanted to join again. It's only going to be open several times a year, because I really want to concentrate on helping helping the people who are in the club. So I'm hoping that answers this question from Lynn. Lynn is asking, is she committed to a minimum number of months, or can she unsubscribe anytime? And the answer is you can unsubscribe anytime. You're not committed to any number of months. Now, if you choose the annual subscription option, after the 2-week money back guarantee, if you decide 6 months through the year that you want to cancel your annual subscription, that means that you won't pay an annual subscription the next time it's due, but it doesn't mean you get the balance of the money back. So if you're not sure whether you want to stay for a full year, whether you really want to drive your textile practice forwards, and I can guarantee if you join me, I will do my best to help you achieve your goals. But if you decide that you're not sure when how long you want to stick, I would opt for the monthly subscription. If you say something like, heck yeah, I want to work with you, I want to have live calls with you several times every month for a year, the annual subscription is for you then. And I'm going to just remove that from the screen now. I'm just going to check this question. If you do have a question, folks, now is the time to drop it into the chat. And if you could put 3 question marks in front and 3 behind. This is a question about the club, about the membership, because that's what we've moved on to now. But I just want to go back to this question from Jazz and Cheetah, which is the most wonderful name, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So is there a timeline we must follow in the club? Is the information and are the videos available whenever we might want it? Yes. So everybody comes in at a different, with different experience and different amounts of time. And you can work totally at your own pace. All the Zoom calls are optional. And then when you're doing work, if you haven't joined a Zoom call, but you want feedback, you can ask comments under each of those individual videos in the club, and I will in the library. I will answer your questions, but you can also upload your images to our private Facebook group, and I can give you more detailed replies there. We can't upload images to the comments in the library. You can just ask questions there. And something that's really important, I think, because obviously we live in different time zones, or many of us do. There will be people from Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand in the club, people from the West Coast of America, from Europe, hopefully from Asia. And I'm conscious of this. So I'll alternate the calls. So some calls will be early in the morning Irish time, and those are much more suitable for people who are living far east of Ireland, people in Australia, for example, and probably Asia. Whereas the calls that are in the evening time are particularly suited for people over in America and the West Coast of America, Canada, etc. So I'm conscious of that, and there will be calls at different times so that everybody will get the opportunity to join me live. And also, everything that I offer is recorded and it is uploaded as new content into your library. So you can go back and look at any of the coaching calls again, and you can ask questions at any stage. Okay, so if you do have a question, please could you ask it now, because okay, so here is a question. So Agni's asking, so Agni lives off grid. Wow, on a remote island. How wonderful. So yes, so I will be opening the club up again in the year, Agni, but it won't be for at least 3 months. I want to not have it open too many times in the year. It just is too distracting for members and too distracting for me. What I want to do is commit to the people who join now, really help them. I want to do a lot more work in my own studio, and then I will open it up again later in the year. So absolutely, it will be open again later in the year, just not for a few months. So are there any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any coming in. I don't think there are any more there. I am so excited, ladies and gentlemen. And what I think we'll do, we'll just finish here. Oh, 1 second now. Linus has something. Linus is saying a whole year sounds scary. I would say, Lynn, it becomes too confusing if there are a whole load of different price points, because I have to integrate everything, all the payment processors and the library, etc., integrate together, and it's very tech heavy in the back end. I honestly think you would be, if you can't commit for the full year, I think you would be better doing the monthly subscription. I mean, I could try and set up an individual one for you, but honestly, my brain is fried with the tech, and I'm really happy I have everything working correctly. So I think it would be better if you did the monthly subscription, if that's okay. And just for everybody, all the prices are in US dollars. Okay. Any more questions? You can just add them in there, but I would like to I'd like to ask you to raise a glass. Now, I have a pint of water and I have a glass of wine, but cheers. And I really appreciate you joining me for the training last night and for this. I will have one session later in the week where I will answer a few more questions, because I know some people will only be watching this on the replay. I'm just going to take a sip. Cheers. Okay, here we have, okay, thanks, Lynn. Okay, so Shasha is saying caregiving her partner, and she hardly knows if she can work at all. I think that I'm actually helping care for my mother and also my dad's cousin at the moment. Mum has Alzheimer's and dad's cousin has dementia. And my studio time has been reduced. That's why I'm not teaching face-to-face, and why I really, I love teaching. I'm passionate about sharing what I do with others. And that's why I've set up the Dirty Pot Club. I find that you can break the process down, Shasha. You do not have to do everything in the one day. So there are things you can do, and those are the kind of things we can talk about in on Zoom calls. So the issue is, if you're not quite sure, if you were interested in joining the club and you wanted that camaraderie, you wanted to become part of a group, we have members in the current ecoprint and wet felt club, which will be ending in August, because everything from August onwards is just the Dirty Pot Club. So I think, if you like being part of a group of people with similar interests and you have some time, I would say opt for the monthly subscription and see how you get on. I mean, I'm not pushing anybody to join, because I want people to join who would like to be part of this community. But I can guarantee you, we will have fun. It will skyrocket your eco printing, and before you know, you will be absolutely flying. And thanks to all of those who are saying cheers. Cheers, Mac. Cheers, Agni. Wonderful that you've been doing natural dyeing since you were a child. That's really fantastic. And Jazz and Cheetah, cheers to you. Okay, I think that is everything for tonight. I don't see any more questions coming in. So I would just like to say a really big thank you to you all for coming and joining me. And a really big thank you to Shauna, who has been wonderful from Australia, getting up at 3 a.m. to join us. Thank you so much, Shauna. I see one more question coming in from Mac. Can you switch from monthly to annual? Yes, Mac, that would be possible. You can start monthly, and I already have the tech organized for a monthly or an annual subscription. So if you started monthly and you're a member, you could just send me an email and I would be able to organize that. So yes, that would be possible. It's just odd numbers of months are very much more difficult. So thank you all so much. I hope you have enjoyed this. Anybody who's watching on the replay, just leave your questions as comments on YouTube, and Shauna and I will do our best to get back to you and answer them during the week. Thank you very much. Sign up deadline. Yes, the sign up deadline, Ginny, is on, okay, I'll just put it so it's 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. And that is Pacific. I'm just writing this down here. This is obviously live. Oh, and what I mentioned last night, I had something cropped up this afternoon and I lost a couple of hours work. So I have not got the bonuses here to put up, but I did mention last night that there would be an early bird bonus for anybody who joined up with the link that we put on the screen yesterday or today. Anybody who joins up within those first 24 hours up to tomorrow evening, I'm going to give you an extra Zoom call, which will only be a few people on the call. And that call will be either the last week in February or the first week in March. And it will be an opportunity for us to discuss your goals. It will be almost like a goal setting bonus. And there is a bonus for everybody. And it is it's taking you through the process of me eco-printing a very beautiful long silk dress with beads and lace. That's a little bonus. It's a separate workshop to the club, but you'll be getting access to that. I will get emails out to everybody over the next couple of days, and I will have the bonuses there, but I won't necessarily keep repeating the early bird bonus, but that will be a very small person, unless loads of you join. That will be a small group call at the end of February or beginning of March, where I will be talking to you as a small group and we will be able to discuss your goals, and it will be like a goal setting thing, your eco printing ones. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Shauna, and over and out from Ireland and Australia.